Hey, what's going on? So I want to talk about the drawn liquidity. We got S1 and S2 drawn liquidities. These are my terms. I came up with them. So the S1 drawn liquidity is when you have something like this. Okay. So S1 drawn liquidity is when we have this here. So you see a candle here, you have a wick, and then you have the next candle close above it, quote unquote. So where's the draw going to be? Is the draw likely to be, down here or up here? Now, this is just standard structure. This is not the end all be all. This works every single time. This is just something as a confluence. Okay. So this is a S1. These are my terms. This is a S1 drawn liquidity because standard, it closed above. Okay. So standardly, it closed above this candle's wick. Okay. This could be last week's high or, yesterday's high, yesterday's candle. This candle right here could be a weekly candle, daily candle, 1 hour candle, whatever. So that's S1 drawn liquidity, right? S2 drawn liquidity. These are my terms, just so you can understand. I'm just saying that because you're not going to see it like online or something. S2 drawn liquidity is when you have a candle like this, and I think it's good to frame it this way. S2 drawn liquidity is when you have something like this, and then this candle here, let's see, so you have a candle like this too, and so price went above it, but it couldn't close above this high, this wick high. You see, it went above it with this price action, but it couldn't close above it. Remember the last one, it closed above it. Remember the last one I showed you, it was like this. Okay, so this is S1 drawn liquidity, and this is S2 drawn liquidity, meaning that usually if it can't close, let me delete this. Usually meaning if it can't close above, if it does something like this, okay, and you see that it couldn't close above this candle, okay, usually the drawn liquidity would be down here. Okay, this is what I call a S2 drawn liquidity, meaning it took this high, but it couldn't close above it. So I'm looking at the drawn liquidity automatically to be down here. That don't mean that that's exactly what's going to happen. That don't mean that you just go short like an idiot. That means that in your mind, you're like, okay, well, and I'm also looking for failure points. I'm like, okay, if it fails, I'm also looking at this wick. Because if it fails, it's going to fail at, this is without going on a lower time frame, 5 minute, 1 minute, looking at the structure. If it fails, it's going to fail at, 40% of this wick, or sometimes 80% of it. You have to go on a lower time frame to see where it's going to fail. Usually you'll see a bullish order block where it's going to fail at, or really what I like to see is a breaker. And so I think going for the failure versus the S1, the drawn liquidity, just aiming for those failure points, if you don't understand the structure that clearly, then that would work. So I just want to show that, and I want to, hold on, what's going on? Oh, so I want to show that, and I want to show this screenshot right here. Okay, so the drawn liquidity in this screenshot, the drawn liquidity is up here. So what you want to do is, some people are like, well, what do I enter? Where on this candle here, this is over the weekend. Okay, I think, yeah, this is the week right here. This candle here. So this is like the weekend. And so we see we got a gap right here. We got a fair value gap. ICT called a fair value gap. If you look at that wick and that wick. So what you can do is you can plan on entering on the first fair value gap that you see. This was on a 4 hour time frame. And this did what ICT called institutional entry order drill. It came into about 10-15% of this gap and took off. So this could be an entry point. If you don't know how to look at the lower time frame structure, you can just enter on, I would say, if you don't know how the lower time frame structure is, you can just enter on like 15% or 20% or, 60% of this gap. But most times it's going to reverse off of, it's going to come down to mean threshold, which is 50% of this gap right here, this fair value gap, and then reverse and go up to the drawn liquidity. This what the original drawn liquidity was. So I saw this on a guy's page, not ICT, somebody else. And I thought this was really interesting to, look at the structure this way. Just go down on a lower time frame and see if you could find a gap. Let's say you see a S1 drawn liquidity here, and you identify, you like, okay, that's S1 drawn liquidity, meaning it closed above the previous week's gap. So it's probably going to come up here. That don't mean that's exactly what's going to happen. Okay. We dealing in probability. So you see this candle right here is like Friday, the last hour on the 4-hour chart for Friday. This candlestick here. Okay. So if you look at it, you got a gap, right? We got a gap here. And so you can enter on this gap to take out this drawn liquidity up here. Okay. Now, if you don't understand the structure, right? Because I know it takes a while to do it. You can just work off of this gap right here. You can say, okay, well, I don't know how the lower time frame structure work, but this gap right here is a wick according to the algorithm. I really believe it is an algorithm that's controlling price. Okay. I also believe in buying and selling pressure. I believe in supply and demand, even though ICT don't believe in it, even though it's actually real and it works. So what I'm saying is if you don't always bet on price to just take out the high, even if it's a clean S1 drawn liquidity, meaning it closed above the previous day, week, 4-hour, whatever candlesticks chart, you can, if you understand the structure strongly, then you can just bet on it to come up there. But I'm saying if you don't understand it strongly, just take the low hanging fruit like ICT say, then get out at 50% of this wick. Just buy it up to here and get out. Even though you're going to get mad when it continue to keep going all the way up and all that, but you got to understand you don't understand the structure deeply yet. So I'm just saying you can work off of this wick because I'm telling you right now, this is a gap according to the algorithm. It's not because ICT says it, it's because it's real, it's true. Okay, I've seen it. Okay. So I just want to explain that. Hopefully that helps somebody out. And thanks for watching.